I do hope that Malta continues to be the home not only to Maltese but to many people.
Dr. Joseph Muscat, thank you very much for accepting the invitation for the interview.
Thank you, Cap.
If we could start, like maybe from year 2008, when you just been elected to be the leader of the party. So back then you must think like the amount of work that has to be done to build the party again was like huge. How did you take that back then?
I think there was a very good basis actually, and the good basis was I don't believe that this is, or a political party to be durable, should be based on one person or on the cult of the leader. It has to be based on principles, on ideas, and on the people. And so I believe that the Labour Party has a long history, has a strong electoral base. Okay, sometimes it wins, sometimes it loses, but the base was there, the infrastructure was there because of the work done by my predecessors. But it was obvious that we were suffering from a long-term lack of trust by the people. Okay, we had lost the 2008 general elections by a whisker, even though we were expected to win. The biggest challenge was to reignite the dream within the people. I think Tony Blair had a very, very good phrase in his autobiography, where he also described what the Labour Party in the UK had gone through when it was absent from government for a very long time. And he said it was basically like England playing Germany, England playing very well, but Germany always winning on the penalties. That was the same feeling amongst us. So it was installing in people the hope, the dream, the actually knowing that we can make it, and then from then rediscovering our roots, going to what we really stand for. I believe people vote not for pledges or for electoral programs. Yes, those are important things, those are factual things, but they vote for a vision, and that is where we worked. What we worked for, we worked for a vision of a Malta that suited the times we were living in.
I mean, and clearly worked. People got really in love with you, sir, with the party, and then you've been elected as the Prime Minister. From that moment, I think it started an even bigger job after, because a lot has been changed. I think Malta been rediscovered maybe, or redesigned. Would you agree with this?
Well, then again, when it comes to our country, I would say that we have a very strong basis as a country. And I really and truly believe that every government did its part in building the country as it is today. So I would refute the idea that everything started in 2013 or everything had started in 28 or in 1987 or in 1971. No, every government did its part for a particular historical phase. It was quite clear that in 2013 and the government that had just exited office was tired. It was a tired administration. What we put in were new ideas, the energy and the vigor of people who want things done. And that was actually one of our biggest strengths and one of our biggest weaknesses, that we were in a hurry, wanting to do things. So much time had been wasted in just waiting for things to happen. Then there was this eagerness to get things done, and in this eagerness we made mistakes, but I think we also managed to bring in some terrific results which were very good.
Would you have could you name maybe two the biggest one you're the most proud about?
No, I think there are too many to mention, but I would say from a bird's eye point of view, I think we made the country much more liberal in many senses. I was having a chat the other day with some friends of my daughters and my daughters themselves, and I was telling them, you know, until 2008, there was no politician actually willing to say that they would vote for divorce openly in our country. Yeah, just imagine that, and just imagine where we transitioned to equal rights when it comes to same-sex couples with the right to adopt, on the use of marijuana, to now a discussion on euthanasia, to a discussion, an obvious discussion on abortion. So the way the country has evolved in a social liberal way is, I think, I wouldn't say it's an achievement of government, but without the impetus of government it would have never happened. And also economically liberal, as in giving the private sector the right and the space to act. I think the reform we did in the energy sector was very important. We managed to put down the energy prices, and then some detaching ourselves from the idea that a Labour Party government, a socialist government, a social democrat government, had to spend big and to tax big. We actually increased our spending in health, in infrastructure, in education, but we taxed less people because we went for economic growth, and we put in some social reforms, mostly regarding, say, the participation of women in the labor force, which, if you look at them from an accountant's perspective, say the free childcare, they don't make sense because you're just spending money. But from an economic perspective, they freed up the potential of so many thousands of women who got the opportunity to get back into the labor force, or to get for the first time in the labor market.
So I think seeing the say level of popularity, I think those clearly work and build that strong foundation of yours. And I think even now, I think you can't just walk on the street being unnoticed. I think people really like.
Yes, for better and worse.
Yes. If I could know, because of course not many people will have the opportunity to experience that, but being the Prime Minister, like how much of a weight it is for the person.
I think one shouldn't complain. If one is in public life, one needs to get used to that. And in a small country such as ours, it's even more. But I would struggle to think of any other country where people would be able to name and to recognize all of the ministers and basically all of the parliamentarians. I struggle to think of any other country where that is possible. That's possible here in Malta. So politics is a sort of national hobby. And the Prime Minister is obviously a very recognizable figure. I say again, for better or worse. At the end of the day, there is negative attention, there is positive attention. But this is the country, this is the setting, and I think if you're in it, you need to accept that as a fact of life. I accept less today because I'm a private person. So, in the sense that I don't hold public office any longer, but it seems there is a long-term effect to it.
What I would like to really hear at this moment is like, what Malta means to you?
I think it's my home. It's part of me, and I don't think I'm unique in having this sort of feeling. So I would say that we're a particular nation. We're a particular nation of travelers, of wanderers too, of people who know that no one else has a living, so we have no natural resources here. It's just the entrepreneurship that makes us what we are. And I like to think that even those people who had and have to go out of our country to look for work, to fetch a more specialized education, at the end of the day, their aim in life is most of the time to come back and contribute something to society. So for me, Malta is home, Malta is part of me.
Taking in consideration the recent result of the election, Labour Party won again. I guess you're really happy with this.
I am.
So our future looks bright. Would you say that?
I think one cannot be condescendent in the approach. So it's definitely an extremely good result for the Labour Party. Still, by Maltese standards, the amount of people that went out to vote is concerning. As in, there was an evident protest vote against the political system, so that needs to be taken into consideration. But my first point is that the Labour Party obviously won an extremely convincing victory, and this is a very strong mandate for the Prime Minister to move ahead, so that's the positive point. There are then three negative points, I think. So one is the turnout. The second is the abysmal number of female candidates that were elected. So it's actually we're moving backwards rather than forwards, and I think this proves the need for the corrective system that I had started and the Prime Minister put into law then to have more women elected into Parliament through this corrective system. And if there was anyone who thought this was not needed, the result of these elections, so it's badly needed, we need to jumpstart the system. And the third is that the country is looking and still not finding a credible opposition, and an opposition is needed for a meaningful political debate, because an opposition is extremely important for the country. Then within the context, another positive point, I think I don't have the data on the turnout, and I don't know whether it would be available on the turnout of people between 16 and 18 have voted. So this was our second national election, because the first was the European Parliament election where 16-year-olds were allowed to vote. But this was the first general election where 16 and 17-year-olds were entitled to vote. And I would love to see how many of them actually turned out to vote. I would be intrigued to see that.
Would you say that everybody's business is to follow politics? They should be active into this. They should hold the politicians accountable.
I would see it the other way around. It's the politicians' job to see that they are relevant to people's lives. So I don't think it's everyone's job to follow politics. It's everyone's job to hold not only politicians into account, but to make their voice heard on issues that one thinks are important to them. I think we live in very challenging times. Also, when it comes to how people make their voices heard and how decision makers can sift through the feedback. The Facebooks of this world are a blessing and a curse at the same time. A blessing because they give access to opinions in an unprecedented manner. and they give a voice to everyone. A curse is because such social platforms, such social media platforms, make abuse much more easy. You can just abuse from someone, and that's it. Once you express an opinion, you have a responsibility on that opinion that you're expressing. Not just, saying something at a bar with some whiskey and that's it. No, you have responsibility because you're expressing your opinion on a social media platform, and that sort of accountability does not exist yet.
Today, for example, I would insert your full name into like a Google search. That we have like thousands of pictures of yours, and I think, not in the bad aspect, but I think you've changed over the years. Could you please say like how you keep healthy? How did the like metamorphose happen?
Yes. I've slimmed down. I was much better than I am today. No, it was a change of lifestyle realization that I was growing unhealthy. I was a bit of a yo-yo, so at one point in time I would be, in good shape, at another time I would just grow fat. I was having a chat with my doctor and was saying, Joe, you have a family history which is not nice. My grandfather died when he was just 60 years old. I actually don't remember my paternal grandfather. My father had a heart attack at 40 years of age. So you're now approaching the middle age, and you have a stressful job. And if you don't have a good and healthy lifestyle, the probability is that you will have health problems in the next few years. And that made me, change the way I see things.
Could you tell us please something like a maybe motivational quote that helped you throughout your career?
I don't think of myself as a motivational speaker, but I do believe that keeping oneself positive, not escaping reality, so not seeing just the positive things and the negative things, but keeping a positive mindset that one can reach a solution is extremely important. And I believe that key is that when everyone around you is sort of panicking, you keep your cool. That is the time when you need to keep your cool. One of my favorite books is a book of quotes of Mahatma Gandhi, and it's a treasure trove of wisdom. Not necessarily uncontroversial, because there are some things that Gandhi said that can be much more controversial than one thinks. But one thing that he said is extremely important. He said, God gave us 2 eyes, 2 ears, and a tongue. That means that we have to see and to hear double of what we say. And that means that one needs to listen to others, one needs to observe, and that opinions need to be the result of all that in a proportionate manner.
It's something like a part of what being said, would you like to add from yourself?
I do hope that Malta continues to be the home not only to Maltese but to many people. I think it is an ideal space to call home, and I believe that our nature as Maltese is to open up to other people. At the end of the day, who are the Maltese? Who are the original Maltese? They are people who came over from other places, and that is what makes us Maltese and what will continue making us Maltese. That we remain a melting pot of cultures where everyone feels welcome.